Welcome to the Haas Supplemental Application Q&A hosted by the Haas Undergraduate Admissions Team. We are very excited to hold this session with you. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us, learn a little bit more about the Haas Supplemental Application, and to have your questions prepared. Now, I know lots of people like to jump right in and start asking their questions. Do know we have a short presentation at the very beginning that answers all our most common questions. But if you do have questions still, we do have our Q&A section at the very end of this session. It'll take up quite a bit of our time. So we have a Q&A feature. If questions come up, please use the Q&A feature. We will prioritize questions asked in the Q&A in the question and answer box. We'll prioritize that over questions asked in the chat. And if you do want to ask a question, go ahead and take a peek at what others have asked first, because you might see your question there and you can upvote it and it'll be prioritized. Okay, so like I said, welcome to the session. We're going to have our Director of Admissions give us the official welcome.
Thank you, Diana. Thanks, Asha, for being here as well. This is our third time doing this, so sorry for a little goofy tonight, or maybe that's just me. But anyways, thank you for being here. Really appreciate your interest in the business major, and yeah, taking the time out to be here tonight. We hope that we can answer your questions. Demystify this process. It's not meant to be a game or anything like that. That's why we're here tonight, is to answer your questions. So please do ask the questions that you have. So yeah, we'll get into it. Dan, if you don't mind advancing, please. I'll give the land acknowledgement, which is a practice that we have here at Berkeley and Haas to acknowledge the land on which we occupy. So the Haas School of Business recognizes that UC Berkeley sits on the territory of Huichin, the original landscape of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This region continues to be of great importance to the Muwekma Ohlone tribe and other familial descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1868. Consistent with our values of community, inclusion, and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples. As members of the Berkeley Haas community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we stand, but also we recognize that the Muwekma Ohlone people are alive and flourishing members of the Berkeley and broader Bay Area communities today. So again, thank you for joining us, and we're excited to help you out. And also, if you feel comfortable, we'd like to know where you're calling in from. It's cool to see where people are joining the call from. So I'll pass it back to you. Thank you, Diana.
Fabulous. I'm getting so excited for this session. And before we go further into it, we'll go ahead and give introductions. You heard from Monique, our fearless leader, and my name is Diana Martinez. My pronouns are she, her. I am the Associate Director of Admissions who specializes in outreach. I may have met you at another session earlier this fall. So if so, welcome back. If not, welcome. I will pass it on to my colleague, Asha.
Hi, everyone. My name is Asha Nathaniel. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm also one of the associate directors of admissions on the team here. I primarily focus on operations and evaluations, and thanks for being here tonight.
Wonderful. And we have one other colleague, Katie Marshall, associate director of admissions, who specializes in yield and transition. Katie can't be here with us tonight, but she wanted to wish you good luck, and we shall continue on. So just a refresher about the process to apply to the business major here at UC Berkeley Haas School of Business. We have the UC application. That was your first part of the application, and congratulations for turning that in. We know that was a huge part. And so we're very excited to see that aspect of it. That's right. The Haas Admissions Team sees the UC application as well as the Haas Supplemental application. So now that you've turned in a UC application, and you have selected either the Global Management Program or the Speaker Undergraduate Business Program as your first choice major, you should have access to the Haas Supplemental application. And that comprises of one more essay that's specific to Haas and also a video interview. And we'll dive into those two things momentarily. But before we do, I wanted to share a little reminder as you fill in your Haas Supplemental application. This is our statement on academic integrity in the application. As you prepare for your application and write your essays, it is acceptable to collaborate with teachers, people you trust, or AI-based assistance programs to assist your brainstorm or proofreading process. However, it is expected that any material you submit as part of your application are your own individual thoughts and experiences. It is not acceptable to copy and paste content directly from AI-based assistance programs, nor is it acceptable to use any other content that you did not create. The purpose of the application is to showcase your unique and authentic voice and writing style. And that is just not something that AI tools or other people can provide. So we're very excited to get to know you. And that's what the application process is all about. And speaking of getting to know you, the Haas essay is what I'll be covering next. We will share a little bit of tips about that and things to consider. So just remember with the Haas essay, similar to the PIQs, it's very important that you are authentically you and that you tell your story, specifically your story, right? We're most excited to learn about you. Of course, I'm sure you have many inspirations that you'd like to mention, and that's okay, but we mainly want to hear about you. So another tip we have is do not simply list your achievements. That's not what the essay is for, right? We got to see a list of your achievements in the UC application. You have your activities and awards section. That has a list of your achievements and your wonderful experiences. So the essay is not where you want to just list things off. It's where you want to show us more, right? Expand, give us more details. So having said that though, be mindful of the word limit and make sure that you're answering the prompt. Here are some other things to consider, right? Have you addressed the prompt fully, right? Another thing is, are there any obvious punctuation, spelling, or grammar errors? You want to make sure that you proofread. I always recommend sleeping on it after you've completely finished it. Go to sleep, have a fresh mind, and look at it the next day to make sure there are no other errors. Now, here are some questions that you want to ask yourself after you complete your essay. Does your essay give a sense of who you are? If so, good. Does your essay show your experience instead of simply telling about your experience? If so, excellent. We really believe in the concept of show, do not tell. And if you want to learn more about that, it's definitely something to research on the Google and learn more about how you can embellish, show us more of who you are instead of simply listing things. And here are some things you don't want to do, right? So does your essay convey only what you think the admissions committee wants to hear, right? Because what we want to hear about is you. So don't worry about writing about the thing that's most important to us. The thing that's most important to us is you answering the prompt and sharing more about you. And then the last thing is, does your essay simply state objective facts, or do you describe your experiences in detail? Because we really want to hear those details. It's super exciting for us. I'll pass it to Asha for the video interview.
Thank you. All right, everyone. So yes, let's talk about the video interview. So all applicants must submit a video interview. It's a required component of the application. The video interview provides applicants with the opportunity to speak on their own behalf. We're evaluating for content and not your appearance or presentation skills or how you speak. So it's okay to be nervous. That will not affect your evaluation. Please keep in mind that the video interview will be considered in the evaluation process, but it's not the most significant component of the final decision. Okay. For the video interview, you will not be interviewing one-on-one with an admissions team member. Instead, you'll record yourself answering a series of questions, and this will take place anytime that's best for you. Just make sure to submit the video interview before the deadline on January 3rd. So the admissions team will be reviewing your video interview, but there's no need to address the team or thank us for watching or anything like that as part of your interview. And it takes place within the portal itself. So let's go through a little bit about how it will work. So after you test your mic and click that you're ready to record button, the questions will then pop up on the screen. You'll have 90 seconds to read the questions before the recording starts. And then just before you start to answer the questions, you'll quickly show your ID. It could be any photo ID, driver's license, passport, anything like that, just when the recording begins. And then you'll have 6 minutes to answer 4 questions. You also get 3 attempts. And you can take as much time as you need between the attempts, so long as you submit it by that January 3rd deadline. You can even log out of the application in between attempts. The questions will be the same and in the same order. Oh, sorry. The other thing to keep in mind, you can only submit the last recording that you made. So if you're on attempt 3 and you decide, oh, I really like my first recording better, you can only submit the last recording that you made. Okay, so here's some detailed logistics and recommendations for starting the interview. So make sure that you feel ready and comfortable and in a good headspace. Inform your family and the people around you that you're about to record your interview. Record in a place with good Wi-Fi connection. Download the latest browser, your latest internet browser, and we found that Google Chrome and Safari work best. Log into your Map at Berkeley portal and test your microphone and camera. Also make sure that you're giving access to your browser to use both of these things. And then you can select ready to record when you're ready to begin. Okay, and here is a screenshot of what it will look like at your Map at Berkeley portal. You can see under the forms portion, that's where you'll have access to the essay piece. And then under application checklist, there will be the Haas video essay. And that link will take you to your video interview portion. Okay, so tonight we will not be sharing the questions for the video interview, but here are some topics that you can prepare to discuss. So one is why your experience and passions are a good fit for the business major. Prepare for questions about your character, skills, and leadership. And show your authenticity, intellectual curiosity, leadership potential, motivations, and integrity. Okay, so we've also got a few tips for you on our video interview guide. So we'll drop a link to that in the chat. So definitely be sure to look at that for more tips on the video interview process. But a couple of things that we can grab from there are, 1, be authentic. Don't read from a scripted response. Practice telling your story out loud. Provide examples of your qualities or experiences, and dress in a way that makes you feel most comfortable and confident. So there's no need to dress up for this process. Okay, the next piece is just a reminder that this isn't something that's meant to be scary or serious. The video interview is meant to be casual, as if you're chatting with a friend about why you think business at Berkeley Haas suits you, and some of the things that you've done that make you feel proud. We're really excited to get to know you, so please keep this in mind as you're going through the process. Okay. So this is a reminder that the due date for the supplemental application is January 3rd. This includes both the essay and the video interview piece. So we highly recommend submitting at least a few days before the deadline, just in case you run into any technical issues. We want you to have time to reach out to us so that we can help you troubleshoot before the deadline. Please note that our office closes at 4 p.m. on January 3rd, and we cannot answer emails or assist you after 4 p.m. on January 3rd. So please plan for this. Okay, a couple of other things. So our application is actually set on Eastern Standard Time. So if you submit your application and it says submitted on January 4th, no worries. It's probably just because it's set on Eastern Standard Time. The other thing is that it takes a little while for the system to update the checklist on your portal. So if you submitted any of the items and it doesn't immediately give a green check mark, don't worry, just check back in a couple of days to make sure. Okay, so now we'll be covering a few frequently asked questions, and I'm going to take the first one. So, will my supplemental essay be read separately from the personal insight questions on the UC app? This is one that we get a lot. The answer to this is no, we will be reading applications in their entirety. I'll hand it over to Diana for the next question.
Thank you, Asha. The next question is, should I repeat certain details or facts that I already mentioned on the UC app? And should I repeat those on the supplemental application? So the question or the answer is you can definitely restate or, tell us more about an example that you had on the UC app, but that's exactly what I mean when I say tell us more, right? We will have access to the UC application and we will be reading your PIQs and your activities and awards section. So while you can repeat information, don't repeat it exactly, right? Share more about it. Maybe there's more details you have to share. Maybe there's a different perspective you want to share on it, or just expand in some way so that we can learn even more.
Awesome. I have the last two. So, is more weight given to the supplemental essay than the rest of the essays? No, it's a holistic review, so we're going to read everything. And should I introduce myself in the interview or thank the admissions team in the end? As Asha said, there's not a need to, but if it's, if it helps you showcase your personality and that feels authentic for you, you can do so. But again, you don't need to utilize your time to do that. You should use that time to answer the questions.
So here's our contact information. I want to remind everybody that we are here to support you, and we're really excited, like I said, to get to know you. We're also very interested in answering any of your questions. So if your questions don't get answered tonight, or maybe something new comes up, please do not hesitate to reach out. Here are our office closures. Starting this Saturday, we will be closed for the holiday break, but we will reopen remotely on January 2nd. So December 21st through January 1st, we will be closed. So if you got questions, get them in before then, but not to worry if you have questions over the break. We will open up remotely from January 2nd through January 15th. So that's a great time to email us if questions come up. We also have one-on-one advising. You can go to our website, our events and advising page to sign up for that. That's good if you have like a complicated case, but don't forget that we have that. We have our virtual front desk, and here are the hours for that. So those last 2 days, hopefully you've already turned in your supplemental application by these dates. But if you run into issues or, you just got last minute questions, please don't hesitate to join us at our virtual front desk. Okay, so everybody's favorite part, the Q&A. I see folks are already asking questions in the Q&A box, and people are upvoting, which is great. So yeah, once again, before you ask a question, just take a peek to see if somebody else asked that before, and you can upvote it. And any questions in the Q&A are much more likely to be answered than any questions that are in the chat. So let's go ahead and jump in. Monique's going to read off the questions, and Asha and I will give some answers.
Okay, the first question. Hi. I know that applicants shouldn't compare applications to others or previous admits because everyone is their own person, but I do notice that a lot of the admits already have prior experience in the field, like having a successful business or published a book. I'm someone who doesn't have that kind of experience, so I'm just wondering what advice you would give to an applicant if they don't have that experience.
I'm really glad that you asked this question because I want to emphasize that we actually don't give preference to students who have business experience, prior business experience. You can show us that you're interested in business in other ways than having business experience. And even more so, you can show us how you are a leader, right? Because we believe that leadership skills that you have, whether it be in the classroom, within your own family, or in something outside the classroom, like a club or a job or a sport, whatever it may be, leadership skills translate over to the business world. So that's a wonderful way to show us that you can still be very successful in business. Maybe if Asha and Monique have ideas that I didn't already mention. All right, fabulous. So yes, thank you very much for asking that question.
Oh, right. The next question is, what are things that you look for in a supplemental essay?
Yeah, I feel like half of that was covered. But again, so it's things like leadership. We also look for evidence of like our defining leadership principles if they're there. Again, just want to emphasize that show, don't tell aspect. But that is also something that you can include. But really, we're just looking to hear about you and your experiences and what makes you a good fit for the major.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, the next question is, hey, what should we focus on in the Haas essay if we already wrote why we like business in the UC PIQ?
Ooh, that is a good question. Well, the prompt will tell you exactly which angle to take when it comes to why business, but perhaps there's like a different aspect that you haven't shared, or maybe you did share in the PIQ, but you just have the opportunity now to give more details, more information about the impact you've made, perhaps more information about your goals or whatever it is that you want to share and you feel might be repetitive. There are ways you can write about the same subject, but from a different angle.
Thank you, Diana. I'll also just add the question's not asking you why you like business. It's totally different. So you shouldn't be writing about why you like it. You should write it to the prompt. As Diana mentioned, you want to make sure you're addressing the prompt. That's one of the things to check the box on. And so it's a different prompt than why do you like business? Okay, the next question is, if we start a new attempt for the video interview, will there be a new set of questions or will the questions remain the same in each attempt?
Good question. Yes, the questions will remain the same. It's the same set of questions, same order.
Thank you. Can a follow-up question that I saw further below is, do all applicants have the same set of questions?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, the next question is, do we get the questions for the interview beforehand? If yes, can we write our answers down beforehand and practice our answers?
Great question. You get the questions about 90 seconds before you start your recording. So As Asha shared earlier, you'll click that start record button after you've tested your microphone and everything. And then you get the list of questions and you get 90 seconds to read them and think about what you want to say. If you want to jot down a few notes, you can. So you only got a short amount of time to do that and to practice before the recording starts. So once that recording ends, you can then, if you want to submit another attempt, you can, and you can spend as much time as you need between recording attempts.
Awesome, thank you. Just following up on that second part, if can we write our answers down and practice them beforehand?
You can, here's what I'll say. As Asha mentioned, you don't necessarily want to script your response. We don't recommend scripting your responses. We actually want it to feel like a conversation, as if we really were one-on-one interviewing you. So don't read from a scripted response. However, I would say it's okay to jot down a few notes and refer to them. We understand it can be very nerve-wracking. So if you have like an outline you want to quickly refer to, that's fine. But don't read like a cue card while you're talking to us. We can tell when you do. And we prefer you to just be naturally yourself. We are not evaluating presentation skills. So if you want to stumble over your words, if you are nervous and lose your train of thought, like those aren't things that we're going to evaluate you on. That's totally okay.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, the next question is, are we allowed to replay our recordings before reattempting?
Oh, yes, you'll have the opportunity to rewatch the recording that you just did before you decide if you're going to use another attempt.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is, do admissions officers see how many attempts were made? And I think the real question you're asking is, do we care? Or do we take into consideration how many attempts you've used?
Great. We do see how many attempts that you made, but it does not have any influence over how we evaluate you. We don't mind if you used 1 or 3 or 2 attempts. It's fine.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, if I apply to this program, the speaker program, and get denied for the program, does that mean I also get denied for Berkeley overall?
Yeah, unfortunately, at this time, we don't have a soft landing for this program. So it would mean that if you're not accepted to the speaker program, you will not be accepted to UC Berkeley. For GMP, I guess, I could just add that too. For GMP, it's a little bit different. You will still be considered for admission to LNS as an undeclared major.
Thank you, Asha. I just want to take a beat here and reaffirm, this is not coming from our office for students who apply to the speaker program. And also, this is something that's happening in other majors. So it's not just the business major that's denying you. This would happen if you apply to another really popular major here on campus. So, if Berkeley is where you want to be, kind of think about that a little bit more, because you still have the opportunity to change your major. But if business at Berkeley is where you want to be, you're in the right place. So keep with it. And, knowing that you might not get into Berkeley, and that's a reality for other students in other popular majors here at the institution. Okay, the next question is, what do you mean in saying show your experience instead of telling about your experience? What are things to avoid and do?
Thank you. And this is a little more nuanced to describe. I'm sure you hear show, don't tell all the time. So what I will say is this, specifically answering the question of what not to do, please don't just list things. Like, I was the captain of the football team, and then I started a business. I did this, and then I did that. Like, instead, maybe just use the space to give us more about 1 or 2 of those experiences and how it directly relates to the prompt, right? you don't have to do it exactly this way, but different things I've seen is when a student tells us about their experience, they may share something they learned, how it made them change, how it impacted them, how it connects with their values or their goals, right? There's, like I said, those are just some examples, but that's one way. I know I said this earlier, sorry if it's a cop out, but I really do recommend Googling show, don't tell college essays, right? Because then you'll get the answer to that specifically for college essays. And there's some really great resources out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Diana. Okay, I'm going to do a few video interview questions for you, Asha. Should I write my bad. Let's come back to that. Is the three attempts, or do the three attempts need to be finished at the same time, or can we do an attempt another day? And will the questions be different or the same from the different attempts?
Okay, yes. So, yeah, you can take time in between the three attempts. You can do them on different days. So long as your last attempt is submitted by the deadline, you are good to take your time and use those attempts if you need them. In terms of the questions being the same, yes, the questions will be the same in the same order. Say it with me. Same in the same order.
Awesome. Thank you, Asha. All right, the next question is, does the time keep running for each of the three attempts, or does it reset?
Oh yeah, the time will reset. So you have 6 minutes for your attempt to answer those 4 questions total, and that's per attempt.
Thank you. And then the next question is, do you get 90 seconds to prepare for all the questions or 90 seconds before each attempt?
So 90 seconds to prepare for the attempt of answering all of the questions. And then if you do like a second attempt, you'll still get 90 seconds to prepare and then answering the 4 questions in the 6 minutes.
Thank you, Asha. Can you just reiterate that last piece that you said there about how you should spread out your time or use that time?
Yeah. So you will have again 4 questions, and then you can use the 6 minutes how you like to answer those questions. You should answer each question fully to the best of your ability. So yeah, the 6 minutes are for each of the questions. I know some people had some confusion around that, but it's not 6 minutes per question. It's 6 minutes for the 4 questions.
Awesome. Thank you for making that super clear. All right. The next question for you now, Asha, is how long do you have to show your ID for?
Oh, it could just be quick. It's just like enough time for us to like a human to identify that it's you, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, going back to you, Diana, should I write my response with the idea that the admissions counselor has already read my previous essays, or should I repeat then expand?
Repeat then expand is good. We will have seen your UC app and your PIQs, but yeah, let us know which example you're referring to exactly when you repeat information.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is also for you, Diana. Should the essay include things about me that weren't included in the UC application? Things like what I would tell an interviewer, more about me and my interest alongside business.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, I'd say as long as you're addressing the prompt, then yeah, you can do that. We want to learn as much as we can about you. We also want to make sure you're answering the prompt.
Okie dokie, thank you so much. Okay, I think we're back to interview questions. What happens if you don't finish all the questions? Is it submitted automatically?
Yeah, so if you're on your last attempt, it will submit automatically. If you're not on your last attempt, you can choose to use another one. And you'll do that by when you like come back to where you would like rewatch your attempt, there's a place that says start over, and that's what you'll click. It's not always super noticeable, but be looking for that start over verbiage, and then that's where you'll click for the next attempt.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, is our experience in business weighed more than our passion?
No, it's not. We are equitable. We believe in equity in the admissions process. We know that not everybody has the same opportunities for business experience. So, like I said earlier, any leadership skills are very interesting to us because we know that translates over to the business world.
Sweet. All right. The next question is, throughout high school, I have attended a school that doesn't offer any AP or honors courses or extracurricular opportunities. I've been reassured that UC evaluates my situation based on what was available to me. Still, knowing that Berkeley receives applications from highly academically successful students, I'm wondering if there might be a negative impact on my application due to my limited opportunities at my school.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we prioritize evaluating applicants in the context of their environment. So we won't be reviewing that any like in any negative way or anything like that. We have the data about like neighborhoods and different things that are accessible to applicants. So we use that in their evaluation.
Thank you, Asha. I just also want to add, like, also the reality that, you're applying to a highly selective institution. So even though you didn't have opportunities maybe available to you, you might have had some in your, vicinity. Like we have some students who didn't get a business internship, which is totally fine. We don't expect it, but maybe you have there's a family business, or somebody who has a business that you can support or something like that. So not just that you didn't have the opportunities, but also kind of finding a way to some opportunities or ways to engage because of the selective nature of our institution, unfortunately. I hope that answers your question as well. All right, the next question is, will there be a timer for the video interview to make sure we know how much time we have? All right, thank you. Okay, do we have to remember the questions asked in the video interview, or will they be shown on the screen?
Oh yeah, they'll be showed on the screen through your time. They won't like disappear or anything.
Right on. Okay. Uh, let's see. Is So we won't be able to see the questions beforehand to prepare, or do they pop up when you're first using your first attempt to record?
We shared earlier, you won't get to see the questions in advance, but like I said, you'll see them 90 seconds in advance. Right after you click that ready to record button and you're ready to go, you will get 90 seconds to look at your questions, read them over, think about what you want to say, and then automatically the timer will start after 90 seconds.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, the next question is, what does the admissions team look for when asking questions like why us? Do you want a straightforward reason that may be generic, such as I love the community at Haas, or would you prefer something more unique?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's probably the latter. We're looking for unique responses. I don't know if it's been said in this presentation, but we've definitely said that, we know the reasons why Haas is great, and we're more interested in hearing about you and why this is a right fit for you.
Awesome, thank you. Um, let's see. Should we talk in a more formal tone?
No, you don't have to. Just talk the way you talk. If you are a formal person and that's how you always talk, then great. But if not, like as you can see, we're pretty informal up here. So, just be yourself. We love seeing a student's actual personality and the way the video is a chance for you to literally share your voice. So that's what we want to see.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, question for you, Asha. Does each question have a time limit, or how do you know when to move on? And do you have to say the question you're answering out loud?
Oh, okay. So, no, the time limit is for all four questions. Um, the, sorry, I'm like blacking out. Okay. The second question was, I'm so
How
confused.
should you like use your time, or how do you know when to move on
Oh,
to the next question?
oh yeah. And then if you should say them out loud. Okay. So the questions are different enough. So you can say like I'll now be answering this question if you want to, whatever like feels natural to you. Um, and then in terms of like how to space out your timing, you should probably spend about like a minute or so, give or take, on each question. But you do have 6 minutes for the four questions. So if you want to be mathematical about it, maybe like a minute and 10 seconds or whatever that math is. I don't really know. But yeah, that's how you can do it.
Cool, thank you. Okay, Diana, is it okay to relate why we want to do business with our future? Like if we want to use it in law or medicine in the future?
If the prompt is, if that's something that could be, that you can answer the prompt by saying, then yeah, we love to see your goals and things of that nature. Just make sure you're answering the prompt if you're doing that.
Okie dokie. We're getting a lot of similar questions here, so just trying to filter through. So please make sure you're upvoting any questions that you really want to hear us answer. But in the meantime, here's this one. Is there a difference in qualities you look for in speaker student versus a GMP student?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I think there is a difference because there are different programs. For GMP, it's much more globally focused, so that's something that may be considered. Um, yeah, I think that's my answer. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Asha. Yeah, I mean, we're both programs are in our school, obviously, so we're kind of baseline looking for the same type of student. But like Asha said, like that program is really tailored to a specific type of student. So make sure you're showcasing that in terms of, what you think we may be looking for students interested in business from a global perspective. Okay, the next question is, let's just answer this question. How do I get access to the supplemental application?
Okay.
I'll try to answer at the same time. You go ahead, Ash.
Thank you. All right. So you should have received an email from the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. Um, if you have not yet, please check your spam and your junk folders because it may be in there. That email will contain your login details to get access to the Map at Berkeley portal. Once you have access to that, you should then look for, I mean, if you remember, there's like if you rewatch this recording and you see the slide of the Map at Berkeley portal, there will be a link there under the application checklist and it will say video interview. And that's the same place where you'll see the essay one too.
Cool, thank you. Okay, as long as the supplemental application is submitted at least a week or so before the deadline, will an applicant who submitted December 1st or so be prioritized over someone who submitted later, like on December 20th?
So just make sure you turn it in before the deadline, January 3rd, and hopefully you submitted the UC app before the UC application deadline of December 2nd. Essentially, when you turned it in isn't going to give you preference for admission.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, let's see. What's a pattern you see in the video interviews or essays of accepted students?
Hmm, that's a good question. Uh, I think I don't know. I guess if this answers the question, I don't know. But you, Diana, you and Monique can also go for it. But I think one pattern that I typically see is folks kind of listing the same sort of characteristics for different things. So I would encourage you all to kind of try and think outside the box, be as authentic to yourself as you can be, because that's what will make you unique and kind of stand out.
I'll think a pattern. There are two different things I want to share. One is a positive pattern I see is when I do see students being themselves and showing their personality. And that's something I like to see. So keep doing that. Another pattern I sometimes see kind of goes along the lines of Asha is I know you only have 6 minutes, so of course keep the time in mind, but sometimes I see this pattern of students saying like, you know, giving an example of themselves, like I'm a leader, but then they don't actually share any type of experience that illustrates their leadership, right? So, and that's just using that as an example. Maybe you're saying like I'm prompt, and maybe share an example of when you've been prompt, or so I do like to see examples, and I think that's wonderful. And sometimes it sometimes I don't see that, so it really stands out to me when I do.
Awesome. Thank you both. The next question I will answer is how much time is spent in total reviewing our applications? A lot. We spend not as much time as you spent applying, but we do spend a lot of time reviewing them because we know how much care and effort you put into them. So please know that we are actually reading everything you're submitting. So we do that for sure. Okay, the next question is, will some accents or pauses affect the outcome of the interview?
No, nothing like that will affect the outcome or be evaluated negatively.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see here. Can we make reference to our extracurriculars to answer the questions to provide an example?
Yes, you can.
Okay, just sorting through here. Um, Okay, what type of ID do we need to show in the video interview? Can we show a school ID or does it need to be more official like a passport?
Yeah, so as long as it has your name and your picture, that will work for us. A school ID is fine, a driver's license is fine, passport's fine. Um, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Um, will you be able to see our previous attempts?
We will only see the attempt that you submitted. So your latest attempt, as it were.
Cool, thank you. All right, when are decisions released?
That is a good question. I believe it is late March.
Yep, that's correct. It's also on the Office of Undergraduate Admissions website if you would like to take a look at that. No. As Do you have any general tips for expressing our understanding of Berkeley culture more than just the general information on the website?
Oh, yes. Well, this is kind of like answering your question by saying the opposite, which is you can express your interest in Berkeley or Haas, but honestly, what I don't recommend is spending a lot of time in your essay giving us giving us more information about Haas or Berkeley. Like a lot of students think that we want to hear you talking about our classes, the professors you want to study with, the opportunities you want to be a part of. And that is wonderful that you want that. But we don't necessarily need more information about what we already know about Haas. We love Haas. That's why we work here. And we love that you love Haas. But we trust that you have done your research. We know that you know all about Haas. So for us, the point of the essay is not to see how much you know about Haas, to show how interested you are. We know you're very interested because you went through a lot to apply with the UC app and now this supplemental application. So I would answer the prompt, but unless the prompt is specifically asking like, what are the specific things about Berkeley and Haas that you want to partake in, I wouldn't spend time talking about that. We want to hear about you. That's what we don't know about. And this is your opportunity to tell us all about you.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. Hello, how do you recommend applicants use the video and essay to their advantage, like using the video to showcase personality and the essay to go deeper into their experiences? Also, are there any common mistakes applicants make when switching between these two formats? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good approach to try and showcase personality through one because that's what the video essay is meant for. Like writing isn't everyone's strong suit, so it's really just another opportunity for you to kind of like showcase information in a way that isn't writing. So try and keep that in mind.
Awesome, thank you so much. Okay, here's a fun one. What would you say is the most unique video interview you've seen?
Oh, they're all so unique. I will just say there's so many. It's hard to remember them all, but I'll say the ones that I often remember is when a student is just really being themselves. I can tell when a student's being themselves, right? Whether it's you, and don't feel like that means, you have to be extroverted or you have to be like charismatic, in order to be yourself and or in order to stand out. Sometimes a student is a little more reserved, and I can tell that that's them, and that stands out to me too. I don't know if Asha and Monique has things you'd like to share.
No, I don't think I have anything to add. I think I fully agree, though. Like, yeah, when students are most authentically themselves, it really comes across in video.
Yes, everything they've said. Also, just again, want to reiterate, please do not script your responses. Like that's an explicit instruction to y'all in, this process. And I'm not just saying it here, it's in the writing and in your instructions. So please don't script your responses because then you're memorable in a bad way. You didn't follow the instructions. And so that's kind of where it gets difficult is like we want to know who you are and we don't want you to do it in a way you're just reading to us because that's what your essays are for. In this format, we want to see you, come as you are. As Diana said, we're not that we're not serious, but we like to have fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously. So we hope that you come to the process like that, just show us a little bit about who you are. Also, the video interview is not going to make or break your decision. It's just an additional piece of information that we're taking into consideration. So, don't feel like this is the end all be all. Okay, let's see. I use a lot of slang relatedly. Okay, when I normally talk, if being myself is recommended, is it okay to use slang?
It is okay to use slang. I want to caution against saying anything derogatory. Speaking of a video interview, I do remember one of those. So, do use slang, but be respectful.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's really important. Yeah. I've already submitted my supplemental essays. Can I change them after submission?
Unfortunately, once it's submitted, it is pretty locked in there.
Alrighty. How strongly are business-related extracurriculars weighed into the decision?
Great question. As we said earlier, we don't give preference to students who have business-related extracurriculars because there are different ways you can show us that you are an excellent candidate for Haas. And actually, we have earlier I put in the chat a link to our webpage that says what we look for. So we've been saying leadership a lot, but there's a lot of other ways you can show us that you're excellent for Haas that may not be directly related to business, like teamwork or goal oriented. We also have our defining leadership principles and their definitions listed there. So I would lean into those qualities and real life examples of how you have embodied those qualities, especially if you don't have business experience.
Fantastic, thank you. Here's a good question. For the video interview, if we want to practice our stories and topics, but also avoid scripting them, how would you strike this balance?
I'd say probably try to take our advice when we like showed that slide of like kind of general topics that you should prepare for. Um, the other thing that I can say, just this works for me sometimes, is just like try to bullet point like your general ideas. If you are like scripting out like, "Hi, I'm Asha," and like then it's gonna come off weird. But if you kind of have like some general topics, you can just like look to those and speak to those a little more naturally.
I will also say earlier in the chat, I shared our tips for a successful video interview, and the be prepared heading kind of shares about, you can prepare your notes, right? And also just practice telling your story out loud. Even if you don't know what the interview is prompt is going to be or what your 4 questions may be, you can still practice in the mirror just talking about yourself, thinking about, oh, what are the things I really want the admissions committee to hear about me? And then once those questions come up, you may already have some good talking points. And as long as they still answer the prompt, you can use those.
Fantastic, thank you all. Okay, we're almost at time, so let's end with our tip. What tip or advice would you give our applicants?
Sure, I'll start us off. So I think my tip is probably the same as always, but it is to try, like, really strongly consider submitting your application a few days before the deadline because we really do want to help you. We hate being like that, those people to be like, sorry, it's past the deadline, but we have no other choice. So please do us all a favor, consider submitting it early.
My tip, I'll give my tip for the essay since I've been talking about the essay mostly today. My tip is that this is something that one of our students recommends. She said that after she finished her essays, she asked somebody she trusted to read through that essay and let her know if it reflected who she actually is and what her values are. And I thought that was wonderful advice because it's the best. So sometimes students get so wrapped up in writing what they think we want to hear that they lose track of who they are. So I think it's great that's an example of how you can, talk to somebody you know and trust and how they can support you, but not write the essay for you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. If I may, I have 2 pieces just quickly. One is, believe in yourself. You didn't get to this point of applying to Berkeley and to Haas because you don't have a story to tell. Everybody has a story to tell. So really believe in yourself and be confident in that. The second thing is my soapbox. Please don't believe the internet. Come to us if you have a question. That's why we're here, and that's why we're here working late to help you all out. So don't go to Reddit, don't go to YouTube. They don't got the answers. We do. So please just reach out to us, especially as our office is about to close. for the winter break, that we hope you reach out to us this week if you have any lingering questions. So that's the advice I would give you. And also, good luck, and of course, go Bears.
All right. Thank you all. It has been so fabulous talking to you. Thank you for all of your questions.